Hi, my name is Florian from Quality Guru, where I answer your questions and share knowledge about quality management. And today I would like to talk about potential supplier analysis. That means what can we do and how can we do it that we source in new suppliers into our portfolio and make sure that they are delivering on the right quality level just from the beginning and avoiding mistakes. So let's look right into it. If you get value out of these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button so that you get notified when there is another video. So now let's look into potential supplier analysis. And what I say here is based on the automotive industry. And I think it will be similar to many other industries because the logic is quite simple and I think it applies to different industries as well. So if you're working in another industry, check what you can get out of this and maybe comment below the video if in your industry it's different or the same. So what I recommend as a tool before we start is look into the VDA 6.3 process audit Red Book. You can buy it on the internet. Maybe you can find a summary somewhere. But here you can find really specific questionnaire questions you can ask when you go into the audit and in evaluation criteria. Because according to this book, there are certain questions you can ask and you can evaluate, and then you come out with a score from basically 0 to 100, and you can evaluate the performance of your or the potential of your supplier, and by this see if there are maybe some red flags during the audit where you say, oh, this is a no-go, or here we need to pay special attention. Because a potential supplier audit happens when we want to source in new suppliers into our portfolio. So for example, it could be that the company is opening a new factory in a new country or a new area and needs now new suppliers. Or it could be that you already have a supplier, but this supplier is opening another factory and you now want to buy products from this new factory. But this new factory, as it is a new factory, we don't know very much about the performance, so we have to analyze it. Yeah? Or it could be that you already have an existing supplier and this existing supplier is now, you now want to buy another technology from them or a product which requires new processes, and you know the supplier, you know the site, but you don't know if the supplier can handle this kind of technology and this kind of processes. So in this kind of situation we make a supplier potential analysis and we can use a questionnaire like, for example, the VDA 6.3. And basically there's always a more or less four-step process which we can go to. First of all, we define the objectives. What is the target of our supplier potential analysis? And this we can agree with the supplier upfront. Do we want to source here a different technology, a new product, or do we want to release a new factory, or what it is what we want to achieve? And then we send the supplier first step, let them do the work first and evaluate themselves. They have their own baseline and their own learning experience. So send them a questionnaire. Maybe your company has a questionnaire, otherwise you can get one out of one of the many standards, maybe the VDA 6.3 on the internet, and let them know that you want them to do a self-evaluation based on this specific standard. Maybe it's yours, maybe it's an industry specific standard, and let them tell you how they see themselves in terms of all the different items. And only when you see the self-evaluation and they are on a level that you say this is an acceptable level, then you go there and you do an on-site visit. Before not, because if they are not ready and they say themselves in their self-evaluation they're not ready, why would you go there and really waste your time? It's only a waste of time. You can spend your time with another supplier and let them get ready. You can talk to them, okay, if you're not ready now, when are you ready? And then you plan your on-site visit after they show you in their self-assessment that it's now time and that they are prepared for this. And when you go there, during your on-site visit, make an audit, spend their time, depending on the size and the complexity and the risk with the supplier, what you estimate. Could be a day, could be several days. So it depends on you how risky you think this supplier could be and how important for your supply chain it is. Then you allocate the right amount of time there. And then you go into asking the questions and going through all the processes in the system of the supplier. And it starts, there are many topics you can look into. For example, is the supplier able to deliver professional project management? That means when they say, okay, I want to launch a product within 6 months or 1 year, do they really have the structures in place that you trust and processes that you trust that they can really deliver on their planning? Or is it a chaotic supplier and you must be careful and be monitoring every step of the way? So this would be then a risk. Or another would be change management. Look at the change management. If something changes during the years of supplier relationship, how do they manage those changes, especially in the automotive industry? The manufacturing production line needs to run every day, and if there's a problem with changing something from one status to another, this could stop the whole supply chain. So there's always a big risk with regards to change management, so look into this as well. Then there are other topics, of course, the operations. How do they design their product? How do they design their process, and how do they execute and control their production operations? So look into this, go into the shop floor, look at their controls, see if their processes are capable, look at all the data, look at what are their scrap rates, how much do they throw away, and get a clear image. How much is this company in control of their operations, and do they take the right reactions in case something is going wrong? Then also look at their supplier management. So do they have many suppliers? How do they manage their suppliers? Are their supplier released? What kind of supplier they have? What are their requirements to their suppliers? How do they manage their suppliers? That can show you a lot about the stability and how much risk do they maybe later transfer to you, because if they don't manage their suppliers correctly and that affects them, then it automatically also affects you. So you need to look also at their supply base and how they manage them and what kind of performance did they have in the last period. And then also a very important point is the people in the company. Are they well trained? Do they know what to do? Do they know the job? Are they changing all the time? Also here you can see a lot of professionalism or maybe a lot of risk. If the people are always changing, then the operations are not stable, and this instability will sooner or later maybe hit this company and then later as a consequence also you. So you want to make sure that they have the right people with the right training, with the right capabilities in order to support their own operations. Yeah, and also their materials. How do they handle their materials when they come into the company? Do they have good controls about them? How do they make sure that the materials are released? Do they have the right processes in place? Do they have the right controls in place so that only the right materials go into the product? You can also talk about equipment. Are they maintaining their equipment? Do they have a lot of problems with their equipment? Is the equipment new? Is the equipment old? And here you can also get a clear idea about risk and opportunities of this supplier. And what do they do if there's a problem? Do they have problem-solving skills? Do they have fast reaction? Do they have people who know how to analyze clearly and to take the right decisions? If yes, then it's a good sign. If not, then you need to write it down in your report and give them the feedback that there is some work for them to do, that they have to improve before they can really work together with you. And last but not least, maybe to mention also customer support. How would they support you if you need something? Are they picking up the phone? Are they having people maybe on your side talking to you? What kind of service are they able to deliver to you so that when there is something happening and you have a need, that they are there for you in order to communicate quickly and effectively and get all the problems and issues solved as soon as possible. These are some general points, just to mention some of them. Probably there are many more. And if your company is, for example, very interested also in safety issues in the supply chain, sustainability, which is more and more important, you can also see what kind of certification and environmental management and health and safety management they have. Maybe also looking into the financials. Is it a financially stable company? Because if the company goes bankrupt, then they will not be able to deliver parts to you because nobody will work, and then you will also have a big problem. So there could be many issues you could look in such a supplier potential analysis, and it depends on you what kind of focus you want to place in this kind of audit. At the end, you come to a conclusion, and it's either you want to move forward with the supplier because they're there, you fully agree with everything what is there, you think there's no showstopper. Maybe there are some points you would say, okay, you have to develop them, and you would maybe give them a kind of a conditional approval and say, okay, I would like to move forward with you, but first of all, you need to solve these 1 or 2 or 3 points. And if you develop them and you can show me the results, then we can give you additional business and we can start with new projects. Or maybe you say, no, the supplier is totally horrible. I was shocked and I think this will not possible to develop this within 1 or 2 or 3 years because there's so much work to do and it's too much risk for us to work with this supplier. Then you would say, okay, no, I cannot release the supplier. So this supplier doesn't have the potential to come into our portfolio, and maybe we can talk again in 2 or 3 years when you are ready, but now it's not the time. So I hope this helps you to understand a little bit about potential supplier analysis. So we have the situation, we want to source potential suppliers into our portfolio, but we need to be careful from a quality point of view if the supplier has the ability to continuously deliver the good performance, their parts, their services with a stable quality and delivery over the long run. If you like these kind of videos, please click the like and subscribe button so that you get notified whenever there's a new video. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.